Hello everyone, and thank you for checking out this video blog, which is going to become a weekly occurrence on Sundays, and it will be a look at the chapter that came previous for the story that I'll be publishing this week, and a glimpse at what's going to be happening in this week's chapter. And I, of course, am EJBorchardt of www.ejborchardt.wordpress.com. Thank you so much for coming to my blog and checking out my stories. It means so much to me to think that people are interested in my ideas and my writing, and just know that everything you see here is in its first rough draft. It is all 100% completely original content that I'm coming up with, and I will continue to do so as long as you guys continue to show interest in it. So, the chapter that will be coming out next week is Chapter 3 of the Rebellion on Akkor. So let's get started by taking a look at what happened last month in Chapter 2. Chapter 2 started out with Taryn and Eugene getting the orphans ready for church on Sunday morning. Eugene is revealed to be a very, very religious man. He has the orphans sing psalms as they walk to work because the ancient Israelites actually sang psalms on their way to Jerusalem, and so the psalms actually were known as Psalms of Ascent. Fun historical fact for you there. And after church, Eugene actually teaches a Sunday school class for the children, and Taryn stays and assists with cleaning up the chapel afterwards. And the pastor actually stops and talks with Taryn as well. Talks about what's going on in the world and Taryn's lack of faith, and how he just needs to really rely on God to take care of him and those at the orphanage. And Taryn, of course, responds with, Eugene has more faith than anyone I've ever seen, and we're in this terrible situation. How can I possibly trust and do nothing? And so the pastor is disappointed that he's not able to convince Taryn, so he gives him several verses to check out and reflect upon. And then the story cuts to the rebellion's plans to go and sabotage the mining machinery owned by the government. They go ahead and they set up a lookout and then spread out to sabotage the machines. Unfortunately, Taryn drops some of his equipment and makes a loud noise, and their lookout, Kyle, falls asleep at his post, and the Akkor enforcers are able to sneak up on Kyle and capture him. But John was going to check on Kyle and was able to get a signal out to get everyone else to run away, so no one else got captured. Once Taryn finds out that Kyle was captured, he wants to go back and fight against the enforcers and save Kyle, but John won't let him, says that he won't accomplish anything and he'll just be risking the orphanage and everyone else in the rebellion. And so Taryn convinces John to hold another meeting so they can mount a rescue to save Kyle. They get together with the rebellion 2 days later, and everyone is so moved because of their words and the rebellion's loyalty to one another. But Scott from Daily Devices Incorporated says that it's Kyle's own fault for him falling asleep on the job, and that the rebellion won't receive any help or advice from him other than just leave Kyle in prison. And the rebellion decides to go ahead with this anyway, and so they start to work on setting up a plan for how to save Kyle. But they decide that Taryn and John cannot be part of the rescue attempt because of Taryn's connection with the orphanage, and if he's caught, the feared retribution from the government against the orphanage. And John, because of his position as rebellion leader, he's just too valuable to the rebellion for them to risk him like that. And that was what Chapter 2 was. Chapter 3 will start out with Taryn meeting with a man named Troy. Troy grew up with Taryn in the orphanage, but he went on to become a member of the government. and Troy is really going to be sympathetic with the people. He's the one who's fighting for people's rights. Unfortunately, he's in the minority, and so most of the time his arguments are drowned out. And Troy is fully aware that Taran's part of the rebellion. And so Taran, of course, asks him what will happen to Kyle since he was captured. And Troy says he most likely will be executed. And I am going far too into detail with this, so let's back it off a bit, leave a few surprises for you guys for this coming week. And Taran then returns to the orphanage and finds out what his role in Eugene's loan with Frederick is going to be. And it turns out that Taran is going to get a new job, and you're just going to have to come back on Monday to see what that new job is going to be. And then Eugene points out that some in the paper was covering the story of how someone had been captured for sabotaging the mine equipment, and just talking about all the terrible things that are going to end up happening to this man's family as a result. And Taran, of course, tells Eugene he's going to do everything that he can to help. And then the next section, the post that'll be coming out on Wednesday, is going to cover the rebellion's attempt to free Kyle. And of course, something is going to go wrong, and then but some people will be captured, some will make it out okay, but the end result is going to be that Taran is even more desperate than before to free these friends of his in the rebellion. And he feels very guilty for all of this, because he feels that because he dropped his wrench and made a noise that alerted the enforcers to get this whole thing started. And so Taran, of course, is going to go to Scott from Daily Devices and ask him for advice. And Scott says that he won't receive any help from him. They should have listened to his advice and just let one person be lost instead of all the people that have been captured. And essentially tells Taran to get away. Don't let anyone see him, because he doesn't want his involvement in the rebellion known, or his connection with any of the rebellion members to be known. And Taran is a bit of a pickpocket. He is going to go ahead and steal something from Scott that will be huge and pivotal to the story from this point forward. Not going to tell you anything more than that. I believe the reveal of what it was that Taran took is actually going to happen in Chapter 4, so that might be a part of a different video for the future. I want to thank you all for coming and listening to me talk about my stories. And I just want to let you guys know that if you have any questions for me, questions about the stories, questions about myself in general, questions about anything, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. I will either respond to your comments, or I might address them in my next video. So thank you once again for coming. Make sure to come back on Monday and check out Part 1 of Chapter 3 of the Rebellion of Akhor. You won't want to miss it. Thanks. Bye.